Welcome back, everybody. I'm super excited about this show. I am Michael.
Brandon.
Stefan.
And we have quite the book to talk about today. I'm ridiculously excited. We're going to talk about House of M. What does everyone think so far?
I don't know. I'm still trapped. I don't think Wanda brought me back over yet. So I'm still trapped dealing with everything. You know, I think Wolverine just yelled at me because my beard started looking similar to his.
Yeah, look at this book. And I'm very happy you brought up Wanda. This is with the year anniversary of WandaVision came out. This is a great book to be talking about with especially when regards to Wanda and Multiverse of Madness coming out. So I'm very excited to talk about this
book. 100%. How are you feeling with this book, Steph?
Oh, I'm good. This is one of my favorite Marvel storylines, the mini events. So yeah, I'm pumped.
Fantastic. I can't wait. All right. This is one of the big storylines, right? This is like this one and probably Civil War in the past like 25, almost 30 years. One of like the biggest stories that are still referenced today in mainstream Marvel comics. Something's always referenced with the House of M. Like they just did it in Hickman's Xmen run recently, actually,
right?
With Scarlet Witch, and then Magneto. Also Civil War. Yeah, exactly. And so this book is extremely important. So I am very, very excited for it. Shall we jump in?
I think we should. I think we should. But what do we, for people who are curious, if you haven't read House of M, where do you start? Like, what's going on in the world right now, Michael?
Oh, well, the Avengers have split up. There's nothing going on. You know, the disassembled had happened. So there's some Avengers that are not here anymore. There's some, as in, unalived. And the, things with the Avengers and the trust with the Avengers have gone out the window, and the trust within themselves and their teammates with each other is also not here. So there's just this atmosphere around either the world and within the Avengers community of just, not doing too well with each other. So that's where we're really jumping in with the whole universe.
Right. And the Xmen, I would say, right, with their relationship with Xavier kind of taking a hit because Xavier has been absent from the team,
Totally.
So
and the X-Men, I feel like the X-Men have I feel with the X-Men during this time is that there isn't a really formal sense of unity behind a particular person or individual, or when it comes to the X-Men. Of course, the X-Men are always dealing with hatred within the world right now, and now they're kind of just they're a unit, but they don't have a direction yet, and so that's where we're getting in with the X-Men at the moment. And so we begin, right? So we jump in. Issue 1, House of M. We see 8 different panels, of a woman. We don't know who she is yet. She's struggling. They're almost there. Oh God, what's happening? Here they come. And turn the page, and it's a beautiful scene of Wanda Maximoff in bed, just delivered her 2 babies, her children, with her husband Vision at her side, Doctor Strange, her brother, her father, people that she cares about most. She's happy. They have been the happiest. She has her twins. Great scene, beautiful scene. I love this first page, but then it's immediately you're immediately taken out of this beautiful scenario with Xavier. Wanda, there's something we need to talk about. What are you doing? We've talked about this, and what do you mean? And so she's fighting him the entire time. Xavier saying, listen, this isn't real, Wanda. This isn't real. You know this. She is fighting him the entire time, and Xavier pushes her and puts her to sleep. It was a dream the entire time. It has been in her head. She has, of course, everyone knows she has reality warping abilities. So he knows how dangerous she can be, and a little bit off
the deep end.
Yeah, she's a little off right now, especially at the end of Avengers Disassembled. We find out what really happened, and so she is not doing well, and she needs help. And Xavier's trying to help her with Magneto asking him to do so.
Right.
And so they're in Genosha right now, and Xavier puts her to sleep because she is about to go crazy once again. So let's take her off the table right now. Give her a break as we continue.
I mean, I don't blame her though.
I know.
She got completely manipulated by Agnes in Avengers Disassembled, which was kind of like her counselor, but was manipulating her. So like, there's someone that you're supposed to confide in, and you're trusting that person, but they're leading you down they're continuing to push you down your dark alley. So that just leads to darkness, which leads Wanda to feel guilty and which then leads her to kill her husband, which adds to that guilt. She kills her teammates, people that is technically family, essentially family,
Yeah.
to her, to the Avengers. The Avengers were really her first, almost like her first family, almost. That's
her
what I
first like
think.
healthy family for sure.
Right.
Xavier, Magneto, when he brought them into the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants at the time, he was manipulated. Exactly, he was
Right.
manipulated and made them believe that they were a unit. This was the
Right.
first healthy family she's ever
Right.
had.
And she
It's so
can't
perfect.
deal with anything.
No,
Sorry.
that's what I'm saying. Like, the weight of the first silent family she's found, she's essentially the cause of the dissolution of that family right now. So
Right.
it's like, there's a lot of weight on her shoulders on top of the deaths that were
Right.
caused.
Right. And that's just adding to all the guilt that is just being built up. And if you guys have not read Avengers Disassembled, it's amazing.
It's a great book.
It's so good.
But that's a good way to put that, Brandon. Guilt, and we kind of reference that continuing in the story with Magneto being very. This is a kind of a Magneto. We're slowly seeing. This is a big transition for Magneto in the Marvel universe right now. He was always this big villain, right, in the 60s, 70s, 80s. But as we go through the 90s, and especially when we get here, we see his transition into like the guilt of what he's done. He wants the mutant community to be where they've always been, never persecuted the way it is. But sometimes his actions are just getting to him, and especially what happened in Genosha, which is exactly where they are.
From New X-Men, right?
Exactly. As we turn the page, we leave Magneto and Xavier to handle Scarlet Witch. We go to New York and we see the Avengers Tower. We're starting with Wonder Man and Carol Danvers. At this moment, she's Miss Marvel and also Falcon. They are being summoned to Avengers Tower, and they don't know why yet. Also, it looks like the Xmen are being summoned to the Avengers Tower. Looks like it's the Josh Whedon run.
Team.
Yeah. So that's for time period wise. If anyone knows, if anyone's read the Josh Whedon astonishing X-Men run, here we are.
Great writer, terrible person.
Exactly. Yep. And this splash page is amazing. I love this. The X-Men walk into this. This is what you walk into. It's such a cool page, and it's such a show of force a little bit. Everyone just chilling, hanging out. Everyone ridiculously concerned.
I love how Wonder Man with his arms crossed is just buffer than anyone else. Like, he's on par with Captain America. That's impressive.
It's pretty good. And then you have Captain America, you have Wonder Man, you have Sentry in the background, Doctor Strange. This is a powerhouse.
Like, imagine a lifting team with Wonder Man, Colossus, and Captain America.
Yeah. And they walk in here and they see Xavier right in the middle of the Avengers, right? Xavier has come to the Avengers for help, and he's about to explain why. The X-Men haven't really
man in the universe.
Yeah, the X-Men haven't really had a lot of contact with Xavier. They really didn't want to, so a little bit of on a rocky plane with Xavier at the moment.
I was missing something. Why did that happen, Steph?
Xavier kind of felt guilt about the whole Magneto Zorn thing. He had the sleeper, and
because he vouched for him. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that endangered a lot of his X-Men.
A lot of them, yeah.
I just finished reading that over the course of my quarantine. That was what I read.
Oh, nice, man. I'm actually jealous. That stuff's good. We find out that Xavier has come to the Avengers and the X-Men for help with Wanda. He is starting to become not able to handle her, and he realizes how powerful Wanda really is. And if she goes loose again, what's going to happen? What can really happen? A lot of danger. And so we go back to Genosha. We see Wanda. We see Pietro just crazy with grief. He's sad. He's worried about his sister, the one family member he can truly trust and always have faith in. He can't lose her. He can't lose her. And he knows that his family too. It was not just Wanda that got invited into the Avengers. Pietro was as well, and he was treated like an Avenger when they first came in. Right. So he's being betrayed by his family. He knows what Xavier went to the Avengers to do. He has this crazy idea that they're going to come kill her, and so he can't have that. So he's feeling betrayed from every angle. So who does he turn to? The one powerful man he knows.
He goes to Magneto, who's stabbed in the back many times.
Exactly, which is just crazy. He's willing to do whatever it takes to save his sister at this point. He's begging him. and he's begging him. And this scene is one of my favorites too. Just this very stoic Magneto, which you almost never see. He's always extremely strong. He knows what he's doing. He's very committed to what he's doing. And here
he feels without feeling almost, you know?
Yeah. And he this is all feeling. He can't act. He's so bogged down with grief and guilt. He can't do anything.
Right.
And so with that, we get the family struggle with the Maximoffs, and we go back to Avengers Tower, and they're discussing what to do. Should we take a vote? What are we going to do? And so a lot of the Avengers and X-Men are like split. Some of them are like, we're not really considering getting rid of the Scarlet Witch, right? This is not what we do. We're the heroes, right?
We just got out of the whole thing.
Yeah. And then, of course, you get Wolverine there going, we do what we got to do, right? He's the best at what he does,
Well, I love that line when Spider-Man says, like, so what? Everyone, when I go crazy, I expect you guys to kill me, my friends to kill me. Yeah. I like when Wolverine said it in response. He said, I would trust you to do the same,
Yeah.
Kind of like, I know what I'm capable of. Someone who is a known killer, like Wolverine is a freaking killer.
Oh, yeah. People forget
so
that.
he knows kind of firsthand what that's like going off the deep end. So I think Wolverine, out of anybody in this situation, knows exactly what Wanda's going through.
Exactly.
Right? Which is why he's so resilient. And I love that part.
I did too. I think that was a really powerful moment, especially the weight of what's going on in the situation. Like no one's taking this lightly, and they're trying to figure out every scenario. They're trying to ask questions, right? They go to Doctor Strange next. Hey, is there anything? Have you helped her? He's like, no, I'm not able to do it. I've done all I can. That there's obviously still possibilities. There's stuff I haven't done. There's still things I can try, but at this moment, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing that's worked so far, right? And they're seeing what they can do. They want to go talk to her. They want to try to assess the situation. So that's where they've gotten to so far.
Right.
Let's see what's going on with Wanda.
What's really cool about this is, and I know Steph and I have been like kind of talking heavy of Emma Frost, and this is a character I paid close attention to in this sequence. And her powers, we all know she's a telepath who can she's not on par with Charles Xavier. She's like a few notches under, but she doesn't really use her telepathy in the situation. She like reads the room with her eyes rather than like her mind, right? As a telepath, you'd expect her to read everyone's thoughts. Okay, what is everyone thinking? But she like kind of uses her eyes, feels the room, feels like kind of the humanity in the room. And I thought that was a really powerful moment, a really subtle, powerful moment for her character and her ability to relate and feel and kind of like spot out what's going on in the situation.
Totally. They mentioned something recently in the Inferno series. She was explaining the difference between Xavier's power and her power.
Yeah.
And like Xavier was like, she's like, Xavier's powers, like he fights against the strength of someone's mind, and she's like, I go against their weakness. I find the weakness in their mind. Like she's like, there's a difference between our powers. That's it. So I thought that was very cool. Yeah, that's kind of her thing. But so that's they decide. They're like, let's go see what Wanda wants. Let's see how she's doing. We need to at least gauge the situation. We can't just make a decision right now and go after her. Let's see what they want. And they all decide to go. And so they all board the Quinjet and the Blackbird. Here they go. They go to Genosha and they try to find her. So they're there. They don't know what's going on. We get glimpses of the bed that Wanda was laying in before. It's empty. They're going around the buildings. There's no Magneto. There's no Quicksilver. There's no Wanda. They're just searching. This one always I love this paneling. First off, the wordless ones. Like, yes. It was just a crazy panel, right? And I was confused in what was going on. I loved reading this because it's just Spider-Man just like searching, like what's going on. And he ends up being the last one. And then he wakes up. Big flash of light. Something happened. What? I don't know. But he wakes up.
He blipped.
Yeah, another blip, right?
Yeah.
He wakes up in bed with someone. We find out from the picture. Looks like Gwen Stacy.
Emma Stone. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Emma Stone. It looks like Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, that's a girl right there.
What? What is this? And that's the end of issue 1. That's how we end issue 1. We have Peter Parker getting up from bed with what appears to be Gwen Stacy.
Oliver Coipel's art, man, and I don't know.
I know this book is so beautiful. It's ridiculous.
I know that's one of Steph's boys right there.
Yeah,
one of his some of his best work. And see, it's hard to compare his work to because they're always so good. Like, right? They're always so good. Because we talked about McNiven before, right? We talked about like Old Man Logan and some of his Civil War book, right? As some of being like his top-notch stuff. But then if you look at some of his like, I don't know, like Return of Wolverine or Death of Wolverine stuff, right? Clearly a little bit rush job, right? But
yeah,
Coipel's work, like it's all so great. Like it's all so good.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare them. They're
Yeah,
all
Coipel's-
beautiful. It's so good.
yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Right.
But this stuff is definitely some of the top notch. This was great. Coipel. As we continue into issue 2, right? We're seeing this. We're in the Bronx, right? We're seeing this old gentleman going out to get his mail. We find on the letterhead Steve Rogers, this old gentleman. We're all confused. We don't know what's going on. There's people flying in the streets. There's kids shouting fireworks from their hands. We don't know what's going on.
I wonder if that's a real address in the Bronx.
Oh, you think so?
I don't know. I mean, I know a friend, one of our buddies is in the Bronx, so I'll
Go check it out.
Something.
As we continue, we hear the radio's on. We're in some apartment. We don't know who this is. And we find out quickly that it looks like it's Scott Summers and Emma Frost. They're in the apartment. It looks like they're getting ready for work. Just having a normal day in. It's kind of, we don't know what's going on still. Okay, they're fine. They're together. Good.
Emma's not wearing any clothes. Barely.
Seems they're in their natural state. That's what they
I mean, you know what? Hey, to each their own. I'm very happy for.
They
Scott
are in their natural state. Yeah, Emma has just a robe on, where Scott has a necktie, like up to the top, like very Scott Summers. Like they're very hair combed to slickest back. He's classic Scott right now.
And he's drinking his coffee black. You know, that's how you know this guy's a very distinguisted gentleman in this
what
world.
He's doing. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. And as we continue on, we see Dazzler. She seems to be a talk show host. Like, right? Sounds perfect. She's interviewing Wonder Man, right? And there's talk about his movie. He's an actor, right? He's talking about his popularity. We see, turn the page, you see Miss Marvel just flying around. Obviously, that's fine. Gambit doing his thief thing. Right? I thought that was really fun. Like,
in a purple getaway car.
Yeah, he's always been. Yeah.
But just to speak on this real quick, I feel like this series was the catalyst to kind of really start pushing Carol Danvers to the forefront. Like she is known today, like so prominent. Like
totally.
Yeah.
Did the Brian Reed series come out while this was going on?
It was after this, but it was this vision. I think because Carol was one of the few people who kept her memories after this, and seeing herself how she's like the #1 hero in this world made her really want to step her game up when reality got reset.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's really
Carol's
cool.
been, I've always like kind of wanted to read her Miss Marvel because we all know her today, Captain Marvel. She's badass, you know. Like I've read her in the Bronze Age as Miss Marvel, but I've never read the Brian Reed series. I have a trade. I have the Secret Invasion tie-in, like hardcover from it.
It's definitely of its time still, but like it's good. It's pretty good.
As a series that's like been saved in my Marvel Unlimited, and it's like I'll look at it, I'll go through all the covers. I'm like, oh, Uncanny X-Force is here too. So
it is,
something has to happen, you know. Maybe it'll be next, but I've always wanted to read it. I also love that costume and playing the video game Ultimate Alliance. She was a key
Ultimate
in that
Alliance,
plot.
man. Yeah.
So I used to play as her all the time on that game. Call me a simp, but that was like my first hero love in comics or like in like Marvel.
I mean, if you're gonna simp for anyone, Miss Carol Danvers is a good place.
Now it's Polaris, so upgraded and everything.
There you go. as we continue, like obviously, Miss Marvel is Carol Danvers takes out Gambit with ease. But you get a flash of this statue in the middle of the park, and it's a Sentinel head. Like, so far, we are crazy confused on what's going on because there's still kids in the street. You see people in the background using powers like openly, and so we don't know really what's going on. What happened? What was that giant light we saw before the Avengers disappeared? And we continue. We see Kitty Pryde.
Bishop. Sorry, I just peeped. That's Bishop. It's hard to see, but he's got a little M on his.
Oh yeah, good call, man.
I mean, that makes sense.
He's a cop too.
Right? Yeah, that makes sense.
He's a cop. That's awesome.
We
Time
see
traveling cop.
I know you're right.
I'm cop.
We see Kitty Pryde next. She's in Ohio. She never left, right? Because for some reason it was okay being a mutant there, I guess. And she becomes a teacher. We see all these other mutants and people with powers inside the classroom.
That's like been her origin for a long time.
I know exactly. But as we continue, we see looks like Sam Wilson. He seems to be a cop as well because he's getting his face to face with Cage.
Are we gonna skip over the whole Namor's attractive thing?
What do you mean?
When she was teaching, and she's like, "Who's the first mutant?" And this kid raised their hand. She's like, Namor. She's like, "Did you read the chapter already? You read ahead. Good job." She's like, "No, my mom just loves him to death and raves about him."
Yeah, well, he's Namor. He would love that. Classic Namor. I mean, he's Namor. So there you go. As we continue, we see that Luke Cage seems to be some sort of gangster a little bit. He's, seems to be on the other side of the law and seems perfectly happy to be there, which is an extreme switch of character, 180 of character. So we don't know really what the issue is between Detective Sam Wilson and this looks like gang leader of Luke Cage. And so, or what happened, we still don't understand what's going on. And as we continue on, we see that, Stephen Strange.
Sorry, I have to, instead of bald Luke Cage, we got cornrows Luke Cage.
Yep. Cornrows with the golden chain, my brother.
Dude, it's so good. And just their dialogue is ridiculously good. Like the standoff between them is just really, really fun.
Right.
And then we continue on. We see Stephen Strange. He's a psychiatrist now. He's still doctor, of course. And then we see looks like Sentry, which should be Sentry, right, Robert? And so something's going on with him. Looks like the void is still there. He's talking about it, right? It looks like maybe it's a memory, a dream or something. He's obviously still dealing with that. So that's a thing still, I guess. We continue to Russia. Colossus is doing his thing. Whenever they show Colossus in Russia, he's always plowing a field.
Yeah.
Which I never understand. I get it once or twice, but like literally every time he's in Russia, he's plowing a field. Like it's very impressive that he can do that. Like with the big one, like the full on plow. But like, I get it. Maybe do something else. I don't know. He does. I
think we got to get like the workout like angle of this guy like just flexing and everything.
That's how he meditates.
Yeah, that's how he meditates.
I don't know. Then lift a barn or something. Maybe he's fixing the underneath of a barn. I don't know. Like he's plowing every time. But I guess you have to every season, right? I guess it's a thing. There's always something to plow. I don't know. Come
on. I'm not judgment-free zone here.
I know. I should. I love Colossus. He can plow all he wants. That's fine.
Yeah. Come on.
As we continue on, we're in Chicago. We are introduced to Beast. Looks like Hank McCoy. A fur-free Beast. That's new. He is hopping around doing his science thing. He has it was an intern. He has another underling scientist. Looks like Hank Pym trying to get his start, but of course, he's human. He can't be, don't worry, your limited human intellect, can't really, don't worry about it. And this is like the first thing that we see as the reader being like, okay, well,
we're different.
That's odd. That's an odd.
I thought Luke Cage being a crime boss was odd. This is weird.
I know. And this is a little weird. And so
I think they're like slowly throwing those jabs and they're like bring the reader like, okay, something's coming.
Exactly.
Like, okay,
this is like the first inclination
of weird.
To
They're
the
on
reader.
Edge right now. Bendis does a really good job in this book of conveying exactly how he wants the reader to feel.
Yeah, I would also like to point out real quick as well. Like this is classic Bendis. This is the Bendis that I love. Right? I give Michael Bendis quite a bit of grief in his modern stuff. I really do. But this Ultimate Spider-Man, his Daredevil, like this right here is Bendis at his best.
That's why he earned,
powers. Yeah. Like
this is but it's here.
Top-notch Bendis. I know from my other platforms, I know people will be like, "Oh yeah, Mike, you don't like Bendis." I don't like current Bendis.
Absolutely.
I love Bendis.
I think if you've read enough work from a writer who's consistently put out the not top tier work, not every writer's going to put out top tier work, but if you know their expectation when they come short of what you're used to seeing, right? It dips, So people who are new and everyone hears like Bendis, but then they see this hot garbage what he's doing in DC, it's like, so go on, Stefan.
I was gonna agree with you. Like, I think once you because he was so consistent for so long.
Right.
I think to see the dip is just, it's for people who've been reading. Like you said, it's You're like,
It's
oh
like-
man, we know what you're capable of. We know it.
right. It's like reading Josh Williamson around. It's like his Flash and Robin is like raise my expectations to here, but his event writing, his Infinite Frontier. It's like I'm not used to you writing like this subpar, you know. Like
Yeah,
for like who's writing a Green Lantern, whatever that guy's name is.
He's new.
Yeah, but like for him, I'm like I've never read a book from you, so if you put out an average book, I might enjoy it because I don't know. Like, that's the best I've seen from you. Or
Sure.
I've seen, but the fact that Williamson and Bendis have like kind of been so consistent, especially Bendis, you know, his Iron Man was still even his worst books like Iron Man Defenders, still brilliant, brilliant.
It's really good stuff.
His Moon Knight is still brilliant, you know.
But see, but that's the thing. You were saying like I love when a writer like makes one big huge god tier book, right? That's amazing. Bendis had several in the 2000s.
That's
He
the
had
thing.
several god tier storylines, and then now nothing for a while.
now it's
For a while, sir.
now
And
let me
so-
ruin the Legion of Superheroes.
I know. No,
It's
thank
in my
you.
contract, guys. I have to get part two Leviathan, even though
No, thank
no one
you.
bought it.
Okay, sure. Whatever. That's another subject. Bendis, this Bendis, I'm all about. This Bendis is great.
Prime Bendis, guys. Prime Bendis.
Yeah, there we go. Here we go. Yeah, we see, Hank feeling a little sorry for
Did they reference when Hank was talking to Hank? Or Henry? Did they reference that humans were going extinct or something like that? Well, I thought I read stuff, and then between their conversation, I think he said something like that, but that just kind of
it's right here. Yeah. Hey, I know what's going on here. No one gets it more than me. When it happened to the dinosaurs, they didn't see it coming.
Right.
He's referring to Homo sapiens, where Hank McCoy Beast is a Homo superior, right? So they didn't have the intellect or capacity to understand it, but you do. He's like, don't worry, buddy, I get it. You see your end coming.
Even more, right?
Yeah.
He's out. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I get
Beast
why
is
you're
just
sad.
Oh my god, Beast
Right.
is
Yeah.
so good. He's like, I know why you're sad, but it sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
Right.
sucks, man. It really does. I feel for you, but let's go
Right,
get lunch.
yeah.
Like that's the end of it. Let's go have a bite to eat. I'll buy
Right.
you lunch.
I'm okay living. I'll live. It's like
Thanks,
I'll live
Beast.
for you.
No, yeah.
Thank you, Dr. McCoy. Such a
Thank God he never became a physician. You broke your leg. Nice, I did it.
yeah,
The
no
bedside
joke.
manner.
That's what happens. He becomes Dark Beast. That's what happens when he becomes a physician.
Yeah.
Yeah, he becomes Dark Beast.
Thanks.
I know. As we continue, we see Storm and Jenna Van Dyne. Looks like Jenna's obviously
I
still,
love them.
she's still a fashion designer like she was before. So that seems normal still. And Storm, they seem to be ready to get to a party of some sort. And she's like kind of like battle testing her dress a little bit. So that's kind of crazy.
Battle test. Nice word. That's good
Always
language.
ready.
Yeah, always ready. And then we continue. We see it looks like classic Wolverine during the Weapon X program. Still don't understand what's going on. He wakes up and we see Jean. Jean's right there in front of him.
And a seductive pose.
In a very seductive pose. And
Giggity, giggity.
Wolverine doesn't know
my
what's
bad.
going on. He's like, what the hell's going on? And he obviously knows it's not Jean because it ends up being Mystique. And she's like, what are you doing? I thought you liked the redhead thing. And he's confused. He leaves his room. They're calling him James. Looks
That's
like
weird,
they're
man.
calling him James.
Right.
We see Toad there as well. There's on uniforms. We don't know what's going on. Wolverine steps out. He's on a helicarrier. He's on a helicarrier surrounded by jets and sentinels.
That's
I
it.
love that too.
And a Magneto logo. Magneto logo.
Magneto logo, the
everywhere,
House of M.
man.
House of M.
Oh, yep.
And that's where we end issue 2. So
You know.
the whole issue, most of issue 2 is just what is going on?
So
All
yeah.
this
what do you
issue is
guys
like we
think
don't
of?
know what's going on.
What do you guys think of Mystique being the romantic partner for Wolverine?
I mean, if we think about it from coming like what's going on, it makes what we're about to find out what's happening. It makes perfect sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you
They're
saying?
like, I feel like they've got a very similar personality. Like they're very lone dog, like lone soldier, loners by nature. Like they kind of stick to themselves. I it's I mean, let's be honest. Wolverine's gets around, right? He's he's
He
been
does.
with quite a few. So
I mean, he's been around forever. So
I feel like that's those
yeah,
most
right.
Marvel characters. I feel like that's most Marvel characters. Like, we're just gonna have like one giant, like, instead of like musical chairs, musical like suitors,
Right.
kind of thing.
Mystique wouldn't be too. I feel like they would kind of like be they would appeal to each other, like because Mystique's usually used to get in her way and fooling everybody. She can never fool Logan or James because his senses, you can always smell.
Right. I think it's like one of those things where like, you just instantly like get somebody,
yeah.
Right. I think that was like a big kind of decision for them to be together in this
Yeah.
world. Because think about it, this is like all happening inside of we find this out later on, obviously spoilers, but there's all like inside Wanda's like mind. Like she paints this whole scene. So it's like it kind of happened for a reason. So like I'm thinking through the lens of Wanda. I'm like, why did she do this? Or was it like, can she not control that? Does she control every minute of every moment of this?
Well,
timeline?
I mean, I don't think necessarily she altered all that. I think she just kind of reset the world and it played out.
And it played out the way that
yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense.
She gave people what they wanted. She gave a lot of people what they wanted.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that didn't. She started with the mutants. She gave all the mutants what they wanted.
Exactly.
And then worked back from there.
Yeah. Okay. That was good. That was good.
And so we continue into issue 3, and we have a massive amount of flashbacks. It looks like memories popping up for Wolverine, all classic Wolverine storylines from all his pasts, right? His introduction and origins, his fighting with Captain America in the Hand. We have him in the Hulk, right? Classic scenes.
Yeah.
Jean, everybody, right? We see Xavier.
Marquillo.
Yeah. He wakes up. He's like, let's just grab Xavier and see what's going on. He's like, I'm confused. Let's just find Xavier. He'll answer. She's like, what are you talking about, James? I remember my entire life is what Wolverine says. That's a big, during this time, like it might not be a big deal anymore, right? Because Wolverine remembers stuff, but this was a big deal.
Yes. He got all his memories back for
all his memories back.
Yep.
He had always not known exactly where he came from. Like that was a big part of Wolverine for like forever.
Yeah.
And this is like he gets all his memories back. This was a big deal back in the day.
Like I also rereading this. It's been a few years. I love this. I always kind of skim over it, but it's been a few years since I actually sat down and read it. I always thought it was Layla Miller that rewoke everybody, but Logan already had. He woke up. Like he didn't have Layla Miller reawaken him.
That was his gift. That's what he wanted most. He wanted to remember.
To remember.
Wanda gave everyone what they wanted. He wanted to remember.
So what did Mystique want?
That. Yeah.
Did Mystique
to be in charge?
Who?
She's like second in command of S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever this is
Mystique?
Gonna be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's Maria Hill. She would make a much better Maria Hill.
She's Maria Hill, yeah.
Maria Hill sucks, but anyway, I digress.
I could see her being like a Black Widow for the mutant shield, if they were to
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Kind of like that Black Ops.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah, of course she is. Yeah, of course she is. Yeah, easy. All of them are. This is we're gonna see his team eventually. His entire team is really ridiculously fitted so well for Black Ops. Even Toad for some reason. Like Toad works so well in this for some reason. Like all of them just work.
Well, is that what Toad wants? Is to finally be in a situation that works for him?
Or to be respected,
Be respected. Yeah, be respected. I think that's the big thing for Toad.
I think that's kind of cool. Like it's a big flex for Bendis saying like that's what every character wants. It's like so on par,
Yeah, no, totally. I think this is a really cool thing. Like all mutants they wanted to be free and seen, and that's not persecuted for who they can just be them and out in the streets, and that's what we've seen all through issue 2. Was just these people. If you pay attention to issue 2 going through it, there's just people in the background using powers.
Right. Yeah,
like even kids.
I hadn't read anything at that point that really shown mutants, just like you said, being free in the open and just like them not having their backs against the wall. Even where they were the dominant species, the storyline of Age of Apocalypse, it was still bleak and very here mutants are just living good and everything's great.
Right.
And
Age of Apocalypse, they had to go through like decades of war and killing to get to being on top, and they had to continue to fight to be on top. Right, every day was a struggle to continue to be the number one species. Here, That's just
Everything's
always
good.
how it's been. They've
Right,
always
right.
been the number one species, and they live life how they want to.
Gambit didn't get what he wanted. He got
Gambit
caught.
didn't know.
He's,
Well,
he's
got
got
caught.
still things. That's all he wants. So
yeah, he
Yeah,
was
but he got
trying
caught.
to. He was trying to. He almost got away.
He almost got what he
Right.
wanted. He wanted
But
the
then,
loot,
to
and
be
he
honest, I
got
don't
the-
feel
he got
super
the
bad for
sack.
Gambit. At the end of the
Sorry,
day, he's
man.
still Gambit. He's handsome as
Right.
hell. Like, he's still Gambit. Whatever.
Yeah,
He's
that's all
suave.
he had to
Whatever.
do
Get
was
out of here,
unbutton
Gambit.
his shirt, and he would have got off free.
That's what I'm talking about. He's Gambit. He can do whatever he wants. I'm not so sorry for him. He'll probably like charm the guard or whatever and get out. Whatever. It's fine.
probably charm Miss Marvel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we see Wolverine. He's super confused in what's going on because Mystique keeps telling him different things that kind of counteract what his memories were. But at the same time, he seems to also remember what's going on in this world because
Right.
Mystique mentioned something about what's going on with Xavier, and it flashes to this chapel scene, and he's like, he remembers that Xavier isn't alive right now.
That
Like
always.
that's what it seems like.
Oh, sorry.
And
Yeah,
so
okay.
Mystique is trying to calm Wolverine down, and she's like, "What's going on, man?" And then Wolverine just jumps, man. He's just jumps off a helicarrier, classic Wolverine style, and just crashes through a building. He's trying to get away, and he's seeing everything that's going on. And we see little tidbits of everything. A little bit Fantastic Four. You still see Mary Jane Watson as a model. That didn't change. So good for Mary Jane. She in every reality she's what she wants to be. Good for
Right.
her. And then just people using their powers everywhere, sentinels flying around like no issues happening. And the very last word of the page is like what is going on? Wolverine says, "What's going on?" We agree. What is going on? I'm right there with you, Wolverine.
Yeah, come on now.
And as we continue, we see looks like paper articles going through. We see the House of Magnus Gala. So obviously Magneto is high stakes. He's very important for some reason. We see Princess Aurora. So Storm is a big deal. Namor, right? We see Dr. Otto Octavius. I love these articles. If you've ever if anyone's reading this book, read these articles.
The news
They're really
articles?
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And these ones. And I love it here because Spidey and Son, people know who Spider-Man is in this universe, right?
Famous. Yeah.
This is pretty crazy. What is it? Shang-Chi is a criminal?
Yeah, I was like,
right here?
he didn't get what he wanted.
No, the Homo sapiens don't seem to get the lower end of the stick.
Did you guys notice? Sorry, I just peeped this, but did you guys notice this was Cannonball? He knocked off the bike. Well, I'm assuming it is. He's got blonde hair, but the bike says Cannonball. Unless Sam.
Oh
just
my
like
god, I never
Yeah.
noticed that before.
Me neither. That's why I just wanted to call that out. I'm noticing a lot
That's
of similar-
definitely him. That's
Yeah,
definitely
that's
him.
good.
Yeah, Wolverine just does. He just takes his bike. The classic Wolverine too. Just punches him right in the face. He's going to Westchester. Wolverine is. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He's going to start with the school. Of course he is. That's where we go. And it looks like there's someone else living in this big mansion, and apparently someone's been here for a very long time. X-Men have never been here. Xavier's never been here in a very long time.
Right.
And so he's trying to find what's going on, and Wolverine's trying to hunt down everything, calling everyone he knows, and getting weird answers. He's still confused on what's really happening. So he heads back to New York. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He goes to Avengers Tower. What he thinks is eventually ends up being Stark Tower. And Wolverine's team confronts him. They've been tracking him the whole time. They know where he was. It's a free team. And like I said, this team is really
It's a
terrifying
nice
team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mystique, Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, like Nightcrawler, Rogue, and Toad. You wouldn't think Toad is, but he's very impressive here. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to take him in. They don't want to. He's obviously their leader, but he's being weird and they don't like it. So you got to come with us. And he's like, no, something's weird. Something's up. I got to track it down. And so a firefight ensues and they get outside. They're battling it out. And all out of nowhere, Cloak shows up from Cloak and Dagger and swallows Wolverine whole into the Shadow Dimension. And he ends up here. And he ends up here with Luke Cage. And it looks like, I believe Danny Rand is here too.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. A lot of heroes. And also, out of nowhere, Hawkeye. This is a big reveal because at the time, Hawkeye, Clint Barton, had died in Avengers Disassembled. So this was a very big reveal.
Because Hawkeye been dead.
Hawkeye's dead, and that's the end of issue 3. And that's a huge revelation, reveal at the end. Like I said, because of Wanda, Clint Barton had died. He sacrificed himself to save the Avengers in an alien invasion that really wasn't an alien invasion.
I'd like to see them kind of. Well, I mean, they probably did over the years, but I'd like to see them kind of touch more on that, like the fact that, well, spoiler, but Wanda killed him not once, but twice. But she brought him back twice as well. But there's a weird dynamic there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She also gave him dope costumes each time.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
I mean, she brought him back in
That's fair
fashion.
of them.
She brought him back
Fair for her.
the right way.
If you're gonna kill me and bring me back, at least give me some sweet, the fit looks.
Give me
looks
my
nice,
trick
right?
arrows, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's how the trick arrows are made. Don't fool yourselves, guys.
No, they're reality warping arrows. Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah.
I know I killed you, but here's some sweet arrows.
Here's some sweet, some trick arrows. You got everything.
All right, yeah. You
and
kill
a
me
bunch
once,
of-
Wanda.
And a bunch of villains
Kill me
that
twice,
say
though.
bro.
I
Yeah,
love that
bro.
the covers
bro.
were by Ribisi as well, or Ribbit.
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 Ribbit,
Okay.
yeah.
Like ribbit, like a frog, but ribbit.
Ribbit. Sad
I
Ribbit.
hope he did not hear that. I hope Sad Ribbit is not watching this.
I was saying Ribbit. Someone had corrected me to Ribisi, and I was like, oh, well, okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm
Ribbit.
pretty sure it's Ribbit. Yeah.
Sorry, Jim Shooter
Sure.
tried to correct me on J.M. DeMatteis' name, but turns out I was pronouncing it right the whole time.
Because I was like, where's the C coming from? It doesn't end with an I,
Yeah,
So,
it's a hard ending.
right.
Ribbit. We gonna say it now. Ribbit.
Yes. So, as we continue, we see Genosha, the Castle Magnus, obviously the home of Magneto. He's king, grandpa. What?
Got nice hair.
Child, very nice hair. The child runs out. I made this for you with my mind.
Hey, is
That
that
always
Billy?
creeped me out a little bit.
Yeah, that's Billy. Okay.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah. We go back to Hell's Kitchen, New York, and it looks like a lot of these people. Who are a lot of these people? I believe that's Black Cat back there as well. Cloak, Cage, Hawkeye. They're talking to Wolverine. They're seeing what's going on. I love that Wolverine's line here is like, Cage, I need you to calm down so I can. He's like, fine. And Clint Barton just shoots him right in the head. Like that's my favorite. Like no hesitation.
Boom. Like yeah. Screw you. See you, Wolverine.
I'm done talking. We're done now. Thank you. And so but they're going. He thought he killed him, but no. Of course, he gets back up. He's like Clint the Kissers. The Tracer. He really shot the Tracer out, and so but they didn't realize he was gonna come back alive. And so here he goes. He's like, how long was they out?
30 seconds.
Yeah, and he's like, no, actually, the Tracer was not gone. It's still there. And so the big Sentinels come in. I actually like these design for these Sentinels quite a bit. Actually,
Yeah.
These are really cool.
Very elegant looking.
Exactly, classic Magneto.
Yes.
I
Or
didn't even
sense of
notice
style.
that. Yo, I didn't even notice Magneto remade the Sentinels.
They look like Night
They
Century.
look like, yeah,
statues.
exactly.
Yeah, I did not realize that. That's
But yes.
gorgeous. That's a gorgeous double page.
It is. It really is. And it's really good because they're on the run now. These Sentinels break into their hideout, and Cloak gets out as many as he can. He doesn't get out everybody, though. And so we are taking. Where are we now? It looks like a little apartment somewhere or an office building.
Hey, we're back in the office, man.
Yeah. Did I miss
Things like
something?
Rand.
How do we get to Miller yet? Was she always here? Does she always show up?
Yo, I was just kind of thrown off that too. I thought that we
'Cause she's
saw
here now.
Layla.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought she was somewhere else. Did I miss something?
Yeah, I think that they already had her, and that threw me
Was
off
that a
too.
miniseries that I'm thinking of right now?
It could have been a flashback in Peter David's X Factor where he fleshed out her-
Where she was? Probably,
Yeah.
That's probably what I'm thinking of. Because it's going right now. The mutants have been.
It's comics. She's here. We got to deal with
She's
it.
here. Yeah, here we go.
No, but
Here
no,
we go.
I had the same reaction as Michael. I just didn't say anything. I'm saying anything. I was like, why is Layla Miller there already? I was
Yeah,
like,
she's
what do
standing
you
here.
mean?
They're trying to explain what's going on to Wolverine. He's super confused.
Yeah. Still doesn't believe him.
Exactly.
Yeah, wasn't Wolverine trying to explain everything to Cage at this point?
Yeah, this is what's going on. He's trying to
Yeah.
explain who the Avengers were, what the life was going on. He has all these memories from what's going on, and the memories of what's going on currently. So he kind of can understand what they're thinking, but at the same time, he's like, "This is not real."
This is
He's
all
like,
BS,
"Clint Barton,
yeah.
you're dead." As we continue on. So he's talking to everybody on what's going on, and then here we go. We finally get into Layla Miller. Because Luke Cage was like, "Yeah, this girl was saying the same crazy stuff you were, sir." Like. Wolverine's saying the same thing about Avengers and X-Men, and he's like, "Yeah, this kid is saying the same things you were. This is kind of crazy." And Wolverine's talking to her, and she's like, "I just know, like, this is her thing going forward, right? She just knows stuff. She knows stuff."
Right.
And one of the things she knows is the world before, and so, she's trying to convince everybody and see what's going on. So Wolverine's like, "We need to bring everyone back. We need to see, we need to get everyone thinking along the same lines. We need to change everything back. We need to know what's going on." And so they head over to the Summers residence. So Scott Summers and Emma Frost.
Yep.
And they break in. They're trying to bring them back. And Emma Frost walks in and she's like, "You guys robbing me? This is crazy." And she tries to read Layla Miller's mind, and it unlocks every memory of the before force. And so she kind of loses it, and she's immediately back to, she's like, "Where's Magneto? This is crazy. This is ridiculous." Her memories were unlocked. Emma's back on track, and she is pissed, and she needs to know what the hell is going on. And Wolverine just, of course, goes gets a beer, and and that ends issue 4. Yeah,
issue
that
5.
ends issue 4.
Oh, wait, issue 4. I'm sorry, I read the trade. I was like, has been 5. I was like, oh, my bad.
Yes, and so at the moment we're trying to get everyone back together. We're trying to get people's memories back unlocked, and that's kind of what we find out what Layla's ability is to do, especially with Emma Frost being there as well to kind of like help her out.
Right.
But she knows stuff, and she's going to help other people know stuff.
Right, and I think Emma kind of takes that responsibility to take her under the wing. Yo, is that like a trading card?
Yeah. Hawkeye.
Oh, nice.
Which costume?
The one the House of M one.
Okay, that's dope. That's dope.
It is really cool. All right. Scott comes home. He's confused. Emma's like, zap him to Layla, and she gets in Scott's head, and Layla switches over the memories back to his old memories of the world before. He's confused. He doesn't know what's going on. How can Magneto do this? He's back on track now. So we have Emma and everybody back on track. And they're coming to terms. He's like, "Okay, where's Xavier? We haven't found him yet," Magneto's Wolverine says, "but we need to get everyone together." And Scott's like, "Okay, who else can we find? Who else can we turn back? What heroes are available?" Right. And of course, who do you go to first? You go to Spider-Man first. In this world, he's well known. His identity is out in the world. Everyone knows who Spider-Man is right now. And so they corner him and they see what's going on. Layla zaps him again. This is a cool double page panel. Yeah, it's classic Peter Parker Spider-Man all day, man. Biggest events. Can't go wrong with this. So cool.
Right. And then Mary Jane Watson, sorry, is just standing right there. I love how like she was like kind of front and center, because like in this timeline, Gwen and Peter are together. So seeing MJ was like kind of cool to me. So I did not communicate that well at all. I did not communicate that at all the way I wanted.
No, I mean I get what you meant. Yeah.
And this one too as well. This scene, because we find out the people in the bag is Aunt May and who's Uncle Ben is alive in this world. And when he wakes up, he is so. One of his biggest mistakes as a hero is alive, Gwen Stacy, and one of his other biggest regrets, Uncle Ben is alive, right? Altogether, he has this happy family, and it's just total contradiction to what he had before, and so he just loses it and runs. He can't take it. Spider-Man can't, and he just runs away.
Spider-Man like really hit ground zero in the 60s, man. Like they really made that a point, Like look what they did in 127 issues. Like this guy like hit ground zero after Gwen Stacy's death. Like not a good time for Spider-Man,
You know,
60s and
and
early 70s.
it shows even more of his emotional range coming out. This is probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire book when Wolverine confronts Spider-Man and Spider-Man is going, Peter's like, I don't know what's going on. I have both these memories. What's true? You know, who did this? And Spider-Man's like, you know, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to do it. I if I get near him, I won't be able to control myself. And Wolverine's like, don't worry, I'll do it I'll get there before you. You know, you won't have to. And like, I love their dynamic together. Wolverine and Spider-Man they're like two contradicting forces that just work so well together.
They balance each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it so much. And this is a huge thing. He won't let him become the murderer that Wolverine's like, I already do it. I'm already there. Don't worry about it. You don't need to do it.
Right.
You can't.
They're like polar opposites, but they both kind of have really similar struggles when it comes to death or dealing with death. And kind of because like Wolverine's lost so many people that have been close to him, and he's had to not only that, he's kind of had to kill people that were close to him too, you know. Spider-Man, that's like a big part of his origin story is, you know, I lost someone close to me, and then literally like we just said, 127 issues later, I lose someone that I had all intents and purposes on marrying, you know.
And I think that, you know, they're both kind of loners a little bit by nature, and they both have the aspect of where they care more about the people they love more so than themselves, you know?
Right, like they would rather isolate knowing that everyone else is okay.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a brilliant way to put it. Yeah.
Right.
As we continue on, we're going around the country, freeing these minds of all the heroes, bringing them back. We have Kitty Pryde, we have Stephen Strange, we have Carol Danvers, Tony Stark, She-Hulk, and Daredevil. But then we get to Captain America. He won't have any use right now.
He's not even a super soldier.
He's not a super soldier anymore. You just leave him, and they leave him. So they don't have a leader right now to really kind of take up the Captain America role, but they still got to press on. They still got to do this.
I had to say this, but they have Cyclops.
They have Cyclops. Yeah, he's a great strategist for sure.
No, he's not. But that's okay. No kidding.
Okay. There's a difference. They're both great leaders, but there's a difference in rallying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No.
But very much so. Yeah. But as we continue, Wolverine's strike team from this world shows up, taking out everybody. They're fighting their hardest. Of course, you see them at their best. Layla Miller is captured by Rogue, but at the same time, she releases her powers, turning the team back to their old minds. So they have a lot of the heroes back. They have their Avengers. They have a lot of the Xmen back. They're trying to figure out what exactly to do next. And they need to find exactly where Xavier is and what's going on. And so we go back to Genosha. We see Magneto. This is a beautiful scene. We see Magneto. We see Polaris as well. You know, here.
I'm sorry, but her hair's not green. Or it kind of is. It's like, I don't know. I didn't like the way that they drew Polaris. That was my only gripe with the book. And I'm like, she's not really characterized. Though, like, she's still like kind of put aside. Like, if you look at what Lorna would want, she would kind of want that independence from her family, you know, because Magneto relied on her, kind of separated her, but relied on her at the same time.
That's so I feel like they kind of veered towards in the latter few years, but initially, like, she was like wanted to be accepted, and
she wanted to be part of Magneto.
Up and down, like, I'm your dad, I'm not your dad, we have the same powers. Then he found out she was related to him. She was up and down for the longest time, to the point where she was like, you know what, I'm just
she was kind of like an emotional mess, you know, for the longest time, and all she wanted to do is be freed from that, which I kind of found like she's still in that situation in this House of M, and I'm like, is that really what you wanted? But I know she's like barely even a character in this book, so it's like I don't care, but she's still part of like the House of M, so like I cared enough, and also like I'm attached to character. Like I found that to be like the only disappointment in the book, but I'm picky.
No, yeah, I totally get it.
Especially when it comes to my wife, you know.
Of course, that's totally understandable.
Steph was the best man. He knows it all.
We leave Wolverine before we see Magneto again, right? They need to find Xavier, but what we find out at the very last page of issue, I think this is 5. He's gone. We see we see the tombstone of Charles Xavier. So what now?
He died so Genosha can live.
Exactly. As we continue, we see that the X-Men Avengers, newly freed minds of X-Men Avengers, are on the Helicarrier. They're kind of in charge of it now, since Wolverine was in charge of it before. They're kind of like blending in, and Emma Frost is kind of controlling everybody. Anyways, and they are going to Genosha to confront Magneto and what's going on, because everything's kind of in his image anyways. So that's kind of a good guess of what's going on, since
Right.
this is kind of like perfect scenario. Wolverine's too perfect. Something's weird, you know.
It's also titled House of M, so Magneto has to like be a bit.
Of course.
You know.
And now we see Genosha. We see a royal guard coming, and Magneto, and it looks like Pietro and Polaris are there. They're welcoming. It looks like Doctor Doom as well, but a very still very handsome faced Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Victor, he's king, right?
It would have been cool for like Magneto's like security guards, like his bodyguards, to be multiple man. Like that would have been dope.
Yeah, that would have been dope too.
Yeah.
That would have been a good idea. Yeah, as we see, and then we go to next, we see all the X-Men and Avengers kind of like plan on what's going on. They're trying to figure out what's really up. Spider-Man's having not the greatest time. He's trying to figure out what's doing. And of course, Scott, like we said, Scott kind of steps up. He's trying to plan what's going on. Of course he can. That's his thing. They're worried about exactly how to do this. And they're saying if what they're doing is right. They're like, everyone seems to be happy. Like, especially the X-Men. Like, everyone seems to be happy. Like, do we
really
want to
be
change
done?
everything back? Like,
Right.
what are we doing? And they end up eventually saying, like, no, we have to. Like, no one got a choice. Like, this
Right.
isn't, everyone was kind of forced to do it.
Right.
And as we continue, we see more. It looks like there's a big party going on in Genosha, especially at the Castle Magnus. There's a big party. There's more people showing up.
Right.
We see T'Challa coming in, Victor Von Doom, Storm, Aurora, and it looks like Namor as well. There's a royal
course Namor.
procession. Yeah,
Who
And then, of
actually
course-
has clothes on?
it's true. And then we see the final big picture. The royal house of Magnus is shown with Pietro, Wanda, and Polaris there, and their
Right.
children, his grandchildren, all there.
Right.
And it looks like a sentinel was thrown, and the Avengers and X-Men pop up. They were hiding in the distraction of a thrown sentinel, where both Polaris and Magneto stop it. And here we go. The battle ensues. Here we go.
Oh
The Avengers
yeah.
can stop.
There's a beautiful page right here.
Double page. Right.
It is, yeah. All the heroes. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. You got Wolverine just going in head first. Miss Marvel's there.
Always, yeah.
It's ridiculously
I love
beautiful.
how Daredevil doesn't suit up, but that's okay.
He doesn't need to.
Yeah.
He can be the lawyer when everything like comes down to it.
Yeah, he's just there to watch over everybody, so they don't.
He
you know,
can't
don't
watch
do that.
over.
Don't do that.
Michael.
Don't do that.
You can't watch over.
Metaphorically. And
Don't do that.
as we continue, we see Emma Frost and Layla Miller and Cloak trying to find Xavier. What's going on? They discover the tombstone, and they need to see if it's real. So they kind of believe it's real. Cloak goes to check, and it turns out it's
There's no body.
there's no one there. Xavier's not there.
Right.
And that's the end of issue 6. We find out there's this tombstone. Something's going on. No body. What's going on?
Right.
So as we continue, we open back up. We see everyone fighting. All the soldiers of Magnus are fighting versus the X-Men and the Avengers. Their minds opened up. Avengers and X-Men. Here they go. They keep going at it. There's storm. These pages, these action scenes are phenomenal. Just powers upon powers being let loose. Everyone trying to stop everybody before getting hurt. And we realize that a lot of stuff's kind of happening. Some things are being disintegrated. You know, a lot of things are being attacked, and we
Right.
Quicksilver is trying to stop it. He gets taken down.
That
Doctor
Right.
Strange senses something. He knows what's going on. He's trying to locate what's really happening, and he heads to Wanda, who, to what everyone else thinks in this world, she doesn't have power. That's the one big thing about the House of Magnus. He's so loving to the forgiving to the Homo sapien race, because his daughter Wanda is one too. She's not a mutant in this world. I am a giving king, as Magneto would say,
Right.
because look, my daughter is Homo sapien too. I would never look down upon you, or like looking down on my own daughter. But turns out that's wrong. And so as we continue on, she recognizes Doctor Strange immediately. She
Yeah,
knows what's going on.
That's who was coaching her before, or trying
Exactly.
to coach her in
Exactly.
the beginning of the narrative.
Exactly. He's helped her. He's tried to help her before. He knows the touch of her mind and her powers. He knows what this is about. And so he's trying to really kind of like communicate to her. And really kind of understand what's going on and how that they can like kind of backtrack through this. And she is kind of like warping reality again. I love how they represent warping like her powers in this series with the, like the blocks. She's literally taking the building blocks of life and reality and reforming them in any way she sees fit. And he's continuing like, Wanda, what's going on? Where's Charles Xavier? He's like, he wanted us all to be happy. What is that? Magneto said. Apparently, when Quicksilver at the beginning of the book begged Magneto to save her, Magneto begged her to change everything. They're gonna kill her. Let's do this.
Right.
This
So
whole
Magneto
scene is amazing.
Kind of like behind everything.
Exactly. What would you have me do? This whole scene between them is so Quicksilver and Wanda it's extremely powerful because I mean Quicksilver has the most like I don't know apparent power, like the flashier power, but like Wanda's clearly the most powerful of them.
Right.
Even though Quicksilver has the most ego of them.
He's also kind of like the runt of the family. Yeah. You know, like has anyone seen Wolverine and the Xmen, the cartoon?
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, like that was to me like the biggest kind of Quicksilver character study that I've seen until like I started reading this book. Because I watched that before I started reading comic books. So like that was like kind of my introduction to that the whole House of M. And to me, like Quicksilver was like because he's so in the open, because of his powers are more in the open, you know, they're more noticeable than Magneto, Polaris, Scarlet Witch. You know, he kind of takes all of that that kind of like the forefront of the emotional damage of being in the family. You know, he's the only one without like that big, powerful hidden secret, you know?
Yeah, but at the same time, everyone kind of like underestimates him, but he's also crazy powerful. Like I love taking it from like there's a scene from in the Ultimate Universe as well, where in the Ultimates he's like he goes ridiculously fast and is like taking out like hundreds of enemy soldiers and takes out these other enemy speedster like no problem. And then he's like crazy tired and everything. He fought more than anyone else had at the time. And then Hawkeye is just like, dude, can you do something? I haven't seen you do a damn thing yet. And he just looks at him like, are you serious? Oh my God. Like his powers are showy and he has to be so arrogant about it because no one notices him. His own father didn't notice him. His own teammates don't notice him because he goes so fast. No one can see him and he can't keep up anyone either.
Yeah.
Like,
right. But he's also the emotional glue of the family.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, isn't he the oldest of the twins? Of Wanda and
like,
himself?
Isn't he like 2 minutes older or something?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
still isn't older, but I'm just saying he kind of always
matured.
Not matured, but you know, if Magneto, if we were to say he played favorites, he definitely favored Wanda over. Like he kind of took out his anger on Pietro,
and then Polaris. He kept hidden from the world.
Of course, because Polaris and Magneto, Polaris and Quicksilver both represents parts of Magneto. Quicksilver looks exactly like Magneto. He sees himself in him every single time he looks at his face.
Right.
And then Polaris has the same exact power set. He knows what she can do. Right. They have the same power, right? He sees himself in Quicksilver and Polaris and hates himself for it. So he always takes out his anger on those two, the ones that remind himself most of himself, right? Where Wanda, he sees hope. He sees something new and fresh and something that can start over. He sees something that can start. He sees someone that can make it all better. Right. So
yeah.
He's not the greatest dad, but that's kind of his thought process. But it turns out it wasn't Magneto after all. It was Quicksilver that made Wanda restart everything.
Right.
Change it all. It was Quicksilver's
kind of push.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, he pushed her to
his motivation, you know, because they had a really strong bond, you know. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I'm a twin too. So like, kind of like your twin always kind of has that influence. Because like at the end of the day, it's like they get you the most. And my brother and I are we're close, you know, but we're also really different. So are like kind of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. But at the end of the day, like for a very long time, they were the only they had each other, and that was a common theme that Michael, you said earlier, and Steph, so did you. You know, kind of they were kind of had their backs against the wall together, the two of them, and that's all they needed for so many years.
Exactly. And as we continue on, like things are getting even more hairy. Where's Charles Xavier? We don't know what's going on. Magneto doesn't know what's going on. Excuse me. And we get to, I love this scene too. This is probably one of my favorite, one of the most powerful scenes in the book.
Oh yeah.
When Hawkeye confronts Wanda, it was because of her because of what she was doing and what she did with her reality warping powers, forced him to sacrifice himself for the team. Yeah. And he got his memories back. He knows this with the help of Layla Miller. He knows this. And so he confronts her. And they were close friends. When they were on the Avengers together, they were the second wave of Avengers, right? Captain America chose Clint Barton and the Max Onoff twins. That was the Avengers team right after the initial Avengers team run, right?
Right.
And so, and all of them criminals. Captain America gave all these criminals a second chance to be the heroes he knew that they can be.
Right.
And Clint Barton is pissed, right? Yeah. How could you do this, Wanda? Like, we were the closest. Like, we held it through. How could you continue to do this?
Right.
And she's like, I loved you. You know, she's like, how could you, Hawkeye, so how could you continue to do this? She's like, I brought you back. Like, isn't that enough? He's like, no, you don't even know what you've done. And because he was too much emotionally for her to handle,
right,
he needed to be taken away. And so she gets rid of him again.
And her kids are in this world too.
Yes, they are. And so they're kind of like her shield, her emotional shield to the world, right? They seem to be protecting her a lot through this, right? This whole part too, right? Before they get rid of Hawkeye. They seem to be protecting her. That's her emotional shield right now, is her children. She hides behind them a little bit, right? And they still don't know what's going on. She's like, I can't control any of it anymore. She's released so much of her power out. I don't know how to control it anymore. And Quicksilver is going crazy. He's trying to see what's going on. And Magneto finally understands what's happening now, because Magneto didn't have anything to do with this, actually. He was also being a puppet to what happened with Wanda, and he's pissed. Magneto is also pissed. What have you done in my name, boy? Right? Again, what we're talking about, just the condescending nature of Magneto to Quicksilver is just so apparent here. He's like, you were going to have them kill her, father. And he's like, I would never have allowed this, right? And then here we go. Wanda is just power being unleashed from every aspect of her. She can't control anymore. The Avengers and Xmen and all the soldiers are down. They've all fought out, and Magneto is trying to convince her to stop, as she silences him by taking away his literal mouth. And then so just Wanda and Quicksilver here, they're having a moment. She's finally getting in control of what she wants. She's like, we're freaks. We don't belong here. We don't deserve this.
Yeah, like that's her
beautiful
life.
Yeah, we don't deserve this beautiful life.
Right. She's hit rock bottom, like
she can't control it anymore.
Lose it. And honestly, like kind of not to get like all personal, but like, kind of being in that situation, like we've all been in like kind of our dark place where we feel like we're losing it. I can see her thought process. Yeah. I can totally see her thought process. Right? Did she go battle her win? No, because she's lost control. She's lost everything. Her emotions are just some pure takeover, like
also, she's tried to make everyone happy, and and then the long-standing thing with her and Magneto, and trying to the subconscious thing, probably wanting to earn Magneto's approval, and she finally gives him everything he wants, and still nothing's good enough. Like, he's still angry, still it's their fault. What she did wasn't good enough. So like you said, she's hit rock bottom in a lot of ways.
And it's sad. It's sad. Like, I remember crying, like seeing.
Yeah, this is a big book. Yeah.
Like, this is like emotionally strong. This book has so many emotions in it. It's just pure genius writing. You capture the heart of the Marvel universe.
Oh yeah.
Because it's never changed after this next page. It's never the same after this next page.
No.
Like, as soon as you turn the page, and there are 3 big words that ring out through the Marvel universe for the next 25 years.
Even today, even if you haven't read House of M, you know these words. Who wants to do the honors? Go ahead, Steph.
No more mutants.
Boom.
She says it. The Pretender. And
yeah, you're
right. And again, we get the big flash of White Light again. So We're back from the beginning. We know what happened now. We know that it was Wanda that rewrote all of
Right.
history, rewrote all of reality.
Right.
And we're back.
This is the only single issue I have of this event is issue 7. Just
Oh,
because
really?
like I don't. Well, no. I got AOK'd a director's cut of issue number 1 signed by Bendis
Nice.
from one of my friends in Pittsburgh, but this issue just has so many deep moments. You know,
Totally.
like heavy topics.
Yeah.
You know, you can't help but just to dive into it. You know, it's so capsulating.
Exactly.
It's like watching the end of Marley and Me.
Yeah, exactly. We see.
You never seen Marley and Me?
Yeah, totally.
If you love dogs, just don't watch it.
We see Layla Miller in her bedroom. She's okay. We get to Peter. He's with MJ. Everything's kind of back to normal. He is not doing well. You can totally tell. He just doesn't want to talk or be around anybody. The Avengers are together. They're trying to talk. He's not in a good place. They see what's going on. They kind of remember what's going on. And it doesn't look like Doctor Strange is doing okay. If you can tell, if a couple of pages back in the last issue, very last of it, Doctor Strange was trying to do something when the white light hit. So we see he was trying to either shield them or help them in some way. He's not doing okay. They're saying everyone's fine. He's like, not me. And then we wake up in Xavier's school, and we see Emma. She's not looking too good. Not very classic Emma over here. Right. We see that some, and by some I mean almost all of the students, a lot of them have lost their powers.
Right.
She walks in. Excuse me. She walks in, and there's some of the flying students just fell out of the sky. Right. Some of the people, there's no powers left. She lost her power. She fainted. Nothing's happened. What's going on? We see that they know no more mutants. They know what Wanda did, and then Scott's like, go find people on Nightcrawler. Go. And he still has his powers. He's searching for everyone. He finds Logan. And one thing, he got to keep all his memories. Right. Wolverine is the only one that really got what he wanted out of this the entire time. And it's not really what he wanted. It's kind of crazy.
It's not the way he wanted it to happen.
Exactly. You know, it's that thing. You be careful what you wish for kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he did. He got it.
Right.
And Emma is trying to find what's happening. You know, this is going on. She uses Cerebro. And usually this map would be full of dots, which represent each individual mutant, but there is like none. Almost all mutants were gone. There's some stragglers, right? A lot of the Xmen, but most mutants were depowered. Their X gene was gone. And it looks like, of course, one of their own was also depowered. That's Bobby Drake. That's Iceman.
Right. It's kind of sad because he's an original member of the team.
Exactly. I think that's what we're trying to get across. But as we continue, the Avengers are trying to see with the aftermath of what was going on, all the news of all these depowered mutants, what could it be? What's happening? And they're trying to figure out what to do next as they continue. But there's this warning going off in the old Avengers mansion. They haven't used it since Avengers Disassembled because it was like practically destroyed.
Right.
And as they go in, there's Hawkeye uniform just chilling on the wall with arrows holding it up. It's kind of crazy.
Right.
And as we continue on, it looks like also we go to Jenna. Yes, you feel like this is kind of hinting that maybe Clint isn't as gone as we thought he was. We hit back to Genosha to see what's going on. We see Magneto. And we see that he can't move a fork. He's also been depowered. And the X-Men confront him and realize that really, if Magneto doesn't have powers, if Magneto isn't a mutant anymore, that's kind of the worst prison anyone can do to him. This is like the worst that people can do to Magneto. He lived his entire life as a mutant, being proud of who he was, fighting for mutants. And now he's not one anymore. He's not part of the group that he fights so far yet. So that's the best prison that they probably could leave him with. And it ends with kind of a sneak peek of like where that Wanda is still alive and active, hiding out, and that the world is forever changed.
Right.
Just sorry, trying to. Damn it.
There you go.
Yeah.
You
Good
did
book.
it.
This book, a must read.
Oh man.
Yeah. This can't be said enough about this book. Like I like to tell people, this kind of got the Civil War is more recognized, but this definitely got the ball rolling on modern day events. Being
After
pushed out.
rereading it, I almost prefer it to Civil War sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
because
I
like
can see
it's just so like after reading this, you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like even after we just talked about it now, I'm just like, I feel like just wow.
No,
You know,
yeah.
just this actually happened. You know, you get attached to these characters, you get attached to this universe, and seeing someone going through this struggle, right? And what a good person can do under the wrong influence, the trauma that can cause that person, but the people around them as well. Right? Is extraordinary, you know, and the main theme of this book is guilt.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and what it can do to how guilt can drive you to do some really bad things sometimes.
Right. I feel like we're giving like condolences right now. I feel like that's what this meeting is.
It's a book that's extremely important to the Marvel Universe. It's extremely important to especially the mutants of the Marvel Universe, because this is kind of like them having to rebuild.
Correct.
There was never more mutants than there was before her No More Mutants words, and then then they had to literally rebuild from nothing. They thought they couldn't be hurt anymore, the mutants, right? What more could humanity and the world do to them?
Right.
And it was one of their
apparently
own.
a lot.
One of their own, yeah.
So, it's just another, and then from then on out, it was just an even harder struggle. For mutants. So it was just another battle that they had to do. It's just, and because that's the end of it, right? You're like, okay, well, you just know, like, okay, well, the mutants are in for another long war, even worse now because there's less of them. They don't have an army anymore, right? They have a squad, right, to fight the world. And so,
if someone wanted to continue reading, like catch up, like where the X-Men are after this book, where should they go?
Oh, that's
because I don't know. I haven't read it yet.
There, Brubaker handled it, but I think like he had like an arc like for like a year or so or two after this. But I want to say you could read that, but maybe right into Fractions, Utopia X or whatever, where they went to San Francisco.
Yeah, those are like the mainstream ones. If you want to break from the mainstream X-Men, I like Peter David's X Factor run with Multiple Man as the detective agency. You have a depowered Richter in there as well from this event, right? And you're dealing. It starts off with the effects of, the very first issue of that run is Richter about to kill himself because he lost his powers, and Jamie Maddox coming to him and being like, "Listen, you're still part of our family. Let's go work and save people instead of hurting yourself." So I love that one too. Yes, I completely agree. The Utopia run is extremely important as well because it kind of gives it's kind of like a prelude to Hickman's civilization, because they make their own little civilization a little bit. But then also if you need a break from like Wolverine and Cyclops and Emma, all the main guys, Peter David's Volume 3 X Factor is really good. And
Layla Miller gets fleshed out in
you have more of a who she is in that run too. Yeah, good call
because I really enjoy Richter. I loved him in Excalibur, and I've come to really appreciate what he has to offer.
I think that's the best he's ever been written. My bad. But
in X Factor?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All those characters actually. I think that's the best.
And Multiple Man too. Multiple Man is great too.
I think that
did a great miniseries.
Yeah, that's what kickstarted the X Factor. He had a Marvel Knights Mad Rocks miniseries, and a lot of this, not all the characters, but some of the characters in that run went over to the X Factor. But that made me a huge Jamie Madrox fan.
Me too.
Yeah, Jamie's dope, man.
Yeah,
Jamie's dope.
The first character that was drawn to look like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
I can't unsee that now. I cannot unsee that.
He's supposed to be. That's what they made him. He was supposed to be Ryan Reynolds, but he got taken up by Deadpool. So
yeah,
there it is. A little fun fact for you.
There it is, guys. House of M.
House of M.
Thank you to everybody for checking out today's video of Archives. Make sure you guys have also checked out some of our other content if you are interested in that. On Wednesday, Stefan and I with the PCB Army Bad Batch. This week on Crisis on Infinite Rants, we have discussed why DC needs Jeff Johns. Why is he so important to the DC universe? And why do they need him more than ever? That's the theme for that week of Crisis on Infinite Rants. Creators Corner, we got some dope announcements coming soon. We got Roy Thomas in February. We got Will Sportasio coming to the show. We got Ron B coming back to the show. We got Innocenti coming over in the summer. We got Pepe Larraz coming over in the summer. We got a stacked lineup for you guys. Booking super far in advance. That's going to be awesome. Weekly wrap-up. Catch that live show every single Monday, live 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Crisis on Infinite Rants and this show both drop 1 p.m. Eastern Time. This comes out every Friday. And if you guys missed our episode last week, covered Civil War, so another great Marvel modern classic. If you guys want a specific book for us to do, make sure you guys leave in the comment section. However, for next week, I believe we are doing Naomi or Death of Superman. Whichever one.
One of the two.
Yeah, show up and find out.
You gotta show up and find out. Exactly. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode. Make sure you guys follow all of us on Instagram and TikTok, wherever we are on social media. All of those links are in the description as well. Michael's always putting out content on TikTok. That's where you can find him the easiest. Stefan is always dropping amazing books on Instagram. Books that you need in your collection that are also really cheap and easy to come by, but make for fantastic stories. So check out that man on Instagram, and you'll be buying everything on his page because I've done that before. Take care, you guys.
Don't blame me. I love you.
Station.